Welcome back to Lochs and Highways, everyone, and welcome to the shores of Loch Venachar, just a few miles outside Callander. We're out for another wander with my two dogs, who are already acting like this whole trip was their grand idea. It's a beautiful early morning, the kind where the light hits the water just right, and you can't help but take a deep breath and just take it in. Absolutely stunning out here, even if the chill in the air is trying its best to wake me up faster than any coffee ever has. Let's see where this trail takes us. As we cross the wee wooden bridge, we're heading into the dog's favourite kind of walk, a woodland trail, all covered in leaves, the full autumn carpet treatment. And of course, my golden retriever's ears go up, the second he hears something rustling in the trees. He freezes, does that quick dramatic turn like he's starring in his own nature documentary, then looks straight up as a wee red squirrel lets out a few squeaks from above. I try to pan the camera around, and if you look closely, you can just spot it darting across the branches in the top corner of the frame. But at least the dog now thinks he's uncovered some ancient woodland secret. And here's a close-up of what I managed to capture with my world-class camera work. As we carry on through this darker stretch of the forest, you really notice the contrast. The dark shadows of the bushes right in front of us, then that bright shimmer off the loch just beyond. It's a stunning sight, but you can also see the damage left behind from the storm last January. Some of these trees look like they've been down for years, but there's a fair few fresh ones as well, whole sections just tipped over like matchsticks. Nature's got some power behind it, that's for sure. While we're making our way along the trail, here's a wee bit of history about this place, because Loch Venachar isn't just a pretty backdrop for dog walks. There's a whole story tucked into these woods. Just along the south shore sits Trossachs House, a grand Edwardian-era mansion that watches over the loch. But before this big house was built, there was a smaller Highland lodge here, and in 1869, that old lodge welcomed a rather fancy guest, Queen Victoria herself. She came up here for some peace and quiet, away from all the royal noise, and apparently she loved it. And who could blame her? There's even a tree on the estate said to have been planted to mark her visit, still standing all these years later, surviving storms, winters, and probably a few confused lost hikers. The lodge she stayed in eventually made way for the country house we know today. It was rebuilt in the early 1900s as a proper Edwardian shooting lodge. The sort of place with huge windows, big fireplaces, and views that would make anyone think, I could stay a while. It sat nestled among these same woods we're walking through now, looking out over the same stretch of water, catching the morning light. And that's the bit I love. We're just wandering along with the dogs, listening to rustling leaves and the odd squirrel squeak. But these paths have been walked for generations. Royals, travellers, locals, visitors, all drawn here by the stillness and the scenery. The landscape hasn't changed much. The loch still glints the same way, and the hills still sit proudly around it. What's changed is the people passing through. So as we follow the trail along, just remember, you're not just on a walk, you're strolling through a place with stories woven into every tree and every view across the water. Walking along the lochside trail now, and the dogs are absolutely convinced that every gap in the trees is a personal invitation to jump in the water. They don't seem to care that it's sitting at about -1. They see a loch, they fancy a dip. Simple as that. Before they drag me straight in with them, we'll take a wee detour. There's a path heading up through the forest, climbing the hill a bit. Let's follow it and see what's waiting for us up there. Hopefully something scenic. And hopefully not another squirrel my golden decides he needs to become best pals with.
Scotland's beauty, a work of art. Step by step with the dogs by my side. Through the hills and climb the trees, we take the ride. Squirrels above and the wind in the pines. Every little twist in the trail it shines. Stone bridges, mossy paths, a gentle climb. Moments like this are worth all the time. Lochs and trails and a wandering heart. Scotland's beauty.
As we reach the top of this gentle climb, the dogs suddenly perk up, tails going like wee propellers. You'd think they'd spotted another perfect swimming opportunity. What they've actually found is Loch Drunkie, spread out in front of us in all its spectacular glory. And honestly, it's stunning. Because it's still early, the sun's hitting the water at just the right angle. That soft golden light that makes the whole place look almost unreal. Loch Drunkie sits between high ridges and wooded hills. Its level was raised long ago to serve as a reservoir, feeding water downstream. And legend says the loch got its name after whiskey smugglers once dumped their kegs here to escape the excise men. Locals reckon Drunkie stuck since. Scotland really knows how to show off when it wants to. The three of us just stand there for a second, taking it all in. Well, I'm standing. The dogs are plotting their next adventure. Off camera, I end up sitting on the old stone dam for a moment, just letting the view sink in. One of those rare wee pauses where everything feels calm, quiet, and exactly right. Take a moment and just look at Loch Venachar stretching out in front of us. Calm water, dark woods on the south shore, and the hills rising gently all around. It's the kind of scene that makes you stop and just take a breath. The loch isn't just a pretty view. It's part of a freshwater network feeding downstream toward the river, and there's a dam and sluice at one end that's been quietly managing the water since the 19th century. So while we enjoy the beauty, there's a bit of history hidden in the ripples too. And just behind us, a few miles away, lies Callander, the gateway to the Highlands. A charming wee town that's been welcoming visitors for centuries. Back in the day, travellers would stop here before venturing further into the wilderness. These days, it's still a friendly hub for walkers, cyclists, and anyone chasing a bit of Highland scenery. More touristy now, but you can still feel the connection between the loch, the hills, and the town. A landscape where nature and people have shared space for generations. Right now, though, it's just us. Me, the dogs, and the loch shimmering under the early morning sun. Quiet, peaceful, and utterly breathtaking. And walking here, you can't help but feel lucky to be part of it, even if the dogs are secretly plotting to dive in at any moment.
Mist drifts over calm blue waves. The hills roll out in gentle lines. The guitars hum beneath the pine. The loch reflects the fading shine. Footsteps trace the winding path where heather scents the highland air. Every bend a story waits, the sky above the world laid bare. Ride the lochside, feel the rhythm, Scotland's heart beneath our feet. Soft rock winds through glens and rivers, every mile a song so sweet. Distant mountains guard the loch. The water sparkles in the light. Footsteps echo, hearts awake.
And here we are, at the end of our wander along Loch Venachar. We've seen the trails, the woods, the sparkling water, and all the quiet beauty this morning has to offer. And now, as we finish, my two wee explorers are just standing there, gazing out over the loch, taking it all in. Scotland must look pretty special through their eyes too. Thanks for coming along today. If you've enjoyed the walk, hit subscribe and join us for more lochs, hills and a fair bit of doggy mischief. Until the next adventure, see you on the road or the trail.